If you're serious, 1 week is enough to shock yourself. That's the truth. Not years, not months, just 7 days of doing the things you always avoid. 7 days of being honest with yourself. 7 days of pushing past comfort. Most people never change because they keep doing what feels safe. They stay in the same habits, talk about the same problems, and wait for the right moment that never comes. This is your moment. 1 week. That's all it takes to start showing up different. Not for attention. Not for anyone else. Just for you. You wake up early, you follow through, you keep your word, you stop explaining, you stop hiding, you finally stop lying to yourself. If you want to feel what real progress looks like, stay with this video, because everything you need to become unrecognizable in 1 week is right here. If you're ready to stop waiting and start doing. Number 1, throw away everything that reminds you of your past. You want to become unrecognizable in just 1 week? Then start by throwing away everything that reminds you of who you used to be. That's the first step. And it's not just about cleaning out your closet or deleting some old messages. This is about cutting the emotional tie to the version of yourself that kept settling, that kept waiting, that kept repeating the same old story. Because if you keep holding on to everything that made you who you are today, how do you expect to become someone new tomorrow? Look around your room. Look at your phone. Look inside your head. Ask yourself what you've been carrying, what you've been staring at, what you've been holding on to for far too long. It could be a piece of clothing that makes you feel small. It could be an old photo that pulls you back into guilt. It could be a conversation you replay in your mind that drains your energy. All of these things are not just objects or memories. They are chains. And if you want to break free and become unrecognizable in 1 week, then you've got to start cutting those chains today. It starts by getting honest. Sit down with yourself and ask, what am I keeping that's making me weaker? That's not a small question. It requires courage, because most people don't want to admit it. They'd rather keep pretending that their environment has nothing to do with their progress. But your environment is the reflection of your standards. Your space, your phone, your routine, all of it is showing you what you tolerate. So if you want to raise your life, raise your standards. And the fastest way to raise your standards is to get rid of everything that lowers them. You don't need more motivation. You need less distraction. You don't need more advice. You need less attachment to who you used to be. You don't need to feel ready. You need to feel fed up. And that happens when you finally look at your life and say, I'm done living like this. That's the moment things start to shift. Throw away the old clothes that no longer fit the person you're becoming. Stop keeping things just in case. That mindset is fear in disguise. You're not going backward. You're not shrinking again. You're building a new identity. And that starts by cutting all reminders of the old one. You're not that person anymore. So stop dressing like them. Stop thinking like them. And stop organizing your life around their choices. Your physical space matters. Because when you walk into your room and it still looks like the past version of you lives there, it's hard to build momentum. You sit in that same chair and feel the same things. You lie in that same bed and think the same thoughts. You look at your walls and see the same limitations. How can you change your life if you don't change what surrounds it? This is not about being dramatic. This is about being real. You can't keep saying you want to change and keep living inside the same environment that made you stuck. It's impossible. If your life feels heavy, if your energy feels low, if your progress feels slow, you don't need more effort. You need more clarity. And clarity comes from letting go. Take a box, walk through your room, pick up everything that doesn't reflect the person you're becoming. If it makes you feel guilt, throw it out. If it makes you feel regret, throw it out. If it's tied to a version of yourself that you're working to grow beyond, it has no place in your future. You deserve a space that pushes you forward, not one that pulls you back. And don't stop with physical things. Open your phone. Look through your photos. Look through your notes. Look at your saved messages and old conversations. Be honest. What are you holding on to that's keeping you emotionally stuck? That conversation you keep rereading, that contact you refuse to delete, that playlist that brings you back to a time you're trying to escape. Every one of those things is keeping your nervous system tied to the past. And if your nervous system is stuck, your actions will never move. Delete it, archive it, clear it. Your digital space is just as important as your physical one. And once you do that, go deeper. Go inside your head. Think about the phrases you keep repeating to yourself. Think about the beliefs that no longer serve you. You might not be able to throw them away physically, but you can stop feeding them. You can interrupt them. You can replace them. When the thought comes in that says, "I always quit," stop it. Say out loud, "That's not true anymore." When the thought says, "I'll never change," respond with, "I already am." When your mind says, "This is who I am," challenge it with, "Not anymore." Your identity is not permanent. It's flexible. It's moldable. But only if you stop reinforcing the same story. You've got to get serious. This is your life we're talking about. 1 week of true focus can do more for your future than 1 year of half effort. But you've got to start with a blank page. You can't keep writing the next chapter of your life in a notebook that's already full of regret, fear, and doubt. Start over, clear it out. There is power in emptiness. When your space is clear, your mind becomes clear. And when your mind is clear, your direction becomes sharp. That's when you move with purpose. That's when you stop wasting time. That's when your energy comes back. That's when your confidence builds, not because of some external motivation, but because you finally feel free from the old version of you. And when people see you after a week of that, you won't look the same, you won't talk the same, you won't carry yourself the same. They'll say, "What happened to you?" And you'll say, "I stopped being who I used to be." Most people don't change because they're afraid to let go. But the truth is, the longer you hold on, the heavier life feels. The more you carry, the less room you have to grow. So drop it, all of it. The guilt, the fear, the emotional clutter, the habits, the objects, the old routines. Give yourself a chance to build a life that reflects who you are becoming, not who you used to be. You're not supposed to carry every part of your past. Some of it was only meant to teach you, not define you. Take the lesson, let go of the weight. You have 1 week to prove to yourself what's possible. And it starts with removing what's impossible to grow around. You don't need to wait for the right time. This is it, right now. The decision you make in this moment determines how you wake up tomorrow. It shapes how you feel, how you think, how you move. Every choice matters. So today, walk into your space and take control of it. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Clean it up, clear it out, set a new tone, take back your environment, and once you do, take back your mind. That's the first move to becoming unrecognizable. Not to others, but to yourself. Because the goal isn't to impress anyone else, it's to shock yourself. It's to wake up 7 days from now and barely recognize the person staring back at you. Not because you faked anything, but because you finally started acting like the person you were meant to become all along. That's power, that's change, that's how you become unrecognizable. In just 1 week. Number 2, stop scrolling and face the silence you avoid daily. No more scrolling. No more checking what someone else is doing. No more watching how other people live while you avoid your own reality. That screen you're glued to, it's not helping you grow. It's keeping you numb. It's giving you a way out of your own mind. And the truth is, you've gotten comfortable running away from yourself. Every time life feels uncomfortable, every time the silence creeps in, every time you're forced to sit still and think, you escape into that screen. But here's the truth. Nothing changes until you stop running. You cannot build a strong life if your mind is never still. You cannot face your problems if you're always distracting yourself from them. You cannot hear your own thoughts if someone else's noise is always in your ears. You don't need more content. You need clarity. You don't need more entertainment. You need intention. And that only comes when you stop scrolling and finally sit with yourself. That's where the change starts. Sit in a room, alone, without music, without a video playing in the background, without anyone texting you. Just sit. At first, it'll feel strange. Your hands will want to reach for the phone. Your thoughts will try to wander. But stay. Don't move. Feel that discomfort, that tightness in your chest, that restlessness in your legs, that pressure in your head. That's everything you've been running from. That's the exact space you need to be in. It's where the truth lives. And I'll tell you, most people can't handle it. They can't handle being alone with their thoughts. They can't handle hearing their own mind speak because deep down they know it will say things they don't want to hear. Things like, you're not being honest with yourself. You're not doing the work you know you should. You're pretending to grow, but you're really just staying busy. And so they scroll instead. They keep chasing stimulation because stillness feels too much like a mirror. But if you're serious about becoming unrecognizable, if you really want to break away from the average, then you've got to break the addiction to distraction. Because that's what it is, an addiction. Every time you're bored, you reach for it. Every time you're anxious, you reach for it. Every time life feels slow or uncertain or uncomfortable, you reach for it. And that pattern is killing your progress. You've got ideas buried under all that noise. You've got decisions waiting to be made. You've got thoughts you've never heard because you've never given yourself a quiet moment to hear them. You think you're stuck? You're not stuck. You're just drowning in other people's voices. It's not that you don't know what to do, it's that you're too distracted to listen to your own wisdom. The silence you avoid is exactly where the answers live. You can't hear your own voice if it's always competing with 1,000 others. And here's the thing. When you finally stop scrolling, when you finally sit with the stillness, you start to notice things. You notice how tired you actually are. You notice the thoughts you've been pushing away. You notice how far you've drifted from the person you say you want to become. And that noticing, that awareness, that's the beginning of real transformation. Because when you're aware, you can make different choices. But when you're distracted, you're on autopilot. You're reacting, not creating. You're consuming, not building. And you were not meant to spend your life reacting to a screen. You were meant to respond to your own calling. You were meant to create something that reflects who you really are. But you can't do that when you're constantly plugged in to someone else's life. Most people are living through highlights that aren't even real. They watch other people's success and feel like failures. They see filtered lives and start believing that something's wrong with theirs. They waste hours comparing and scrolling and hoping, but none of that builds anything. You could have written 5 pages of your goals. You could have had a breakthrough about your habits. You could have mapped out the next 6 months of your life. But instead, you watched another clip and you barely remember it. You're not here to be entertained. You're here to grow. And growth is not always fun. Growth is not scrolling until your eyes hurt. Growth is uncomfortable. Growth is facing what hurts. Growth is looking at your own life and saying, this has to change, and then doing something about it. Spend 1 hour a day in silence. No phone, no screen, just you and your thoughts. You'll start to notice what's actually holding you back. You'll hear the truth you've been ignoring. You'll see clearly what matters and what doesn't. And it won't be easy. At first, your mind will resist. You'll feel bored, anxious, maybe even emotional. That's the detox. That's what happens when your brain starts to separate from the chaos it's been feeding on. Don't run from that. Lean into it. That silence is not your enemy, it's your guide. It's the space where self-awareness is born. It's where focus lives. It's where your discipline grows. When you sit in silence long enough, you stop craving distractions. You stop needing validation. You stop depending on stimulation to feel alive. Instead, you begin to create from within. That's how real confidence is built. Not from likes, not from views, but from the quiet strength of knowing who you are and what you're doing. And once you reach that point, you become dangerous. Because now your attention is yours. Your mind is yours. Your time is yours. And most people can't say that. They're owned by their phone. Their emotions are owned by what they see on a screen. Their energy is drained by endless scrolling, but not you, not anymore. You want to stand out? Take control of your attention. You want to feel powerful? Take control of your time. You want to become unrecognizable? Take control of your mind. And that begins the moment you put the phone down and face what's really inside. 1 week without distractions will teach you more about yourself than 100 books. 1 week of silence will show you more truth than 1,000 videos. You don't need another motivational clip. You don't need someone yelling at you through a screen. You need your own voice, your real voice, the one that's been buried under noise. And once you hear it, really hear it, you won't want to go back. You'll start to notice how loud the world is, how fake the highlight reels are, how addicted everyone seems, and you'll feel free, not because everything is perfect, but because you finally broke the grip that noise had on you. Now you're present, you're aware, you're focused, and with that comes power. With that comes clarity. With that comes a level of self-respect that no amount of scrolling can ever give you. You don't need more distractions, you need more discipline. You don't need more input, you need more output. You need to produce, you need to act. You need to create a life that looks like the one you keep imagining. But imagination alone won't build it. Action will, stillness will, clarity will. So start today, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Today, set a timer for 1 hour. Turn off your phone, sit in silence. Ask yourself, what have I been running from? What am I afraid to hear? What part of me needs my full attention right now? That's how it begins. And when you do that, not once, but every day for the next 7 days, something inside you shifts. Your thoughts sharpen. Your choices get clearer. Your habits get stronger. And without even trying, you begin to move differently, talk differently, think differently. People around you start noticing. They sense something changed. And you didn't need a new outfit. You didn't need to post about it. You didn't need to prove it to anyone. You just did the work in silence. You faced what most people avoid. And that's why you become unrecognizable. Not because of what you showed to the world, but because of what you finally faced within yourself. That's where the real transformation begins. Not on the screen, but in the silence. Number 3, shut your door and don't let anyone interrupt growth. You say you want to grow? You say you're ready for change? Then close the door. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, personally. Close the door on distractions, on interruptions, on opinions, on expectations. This is your season for focus, not conversation, not validation, not endless explanation. If you truly want to become someone new, you can't keep letting people walk into your time and slow down your growth. Growth requires space, space to think, space to struggle, space to get serious without someone trying to pull you back to who you were yesterday. You can't grow around people who only know your past. You can't grow if your environment is full of noise. You need stillness. You need intensity. You need space where no one's opinion matters except your own. And that begins by shutting the door, literally and figuratively. Look at your schedule. Look at your daily routine. How many times are you pulled away from what matters? How often do people interrupt you with things that have nothing to do with your goals? It may seem small, but every interruption chips away at your energy. Every time you break your focus, you lose momentum. And momentum is what drives transformation. If you keep giving away your attention, don't be surprised when your progress disappears with it. This is not about cutting people off in anger. This is about building boundaries out of purpose. If your time isn't protected, your growth won't survive. You have to get selfish with your schedule. Not rude, not dismissive, but clear. Clear about what matters right now. Clear about what can wait. Clear about who brings value and who brings distraction. This week is not about pleasing people. It's about changing your life. Most people will never understand the version of you that's under construction. They'll question your silence. They'll wonder why you're not as available. They'll make comments like, "You've changed." And you know what? That's exactly the point. Growth looks like separation. Growth looks like quiet. Growth looks like saying no when you used to say yes. And unless you shut that door, someone will always find a way to knock you off track. This isn't something you do once. It's something you choose again and again. Every day you wake up and you shut the door on distraction. You shut the door on drama. You shut the door on guilt. Because if you don't, it finds its way back in. And before you know it, you're spending your energy explaining instead of evolving. You don't need to tell everyone what you're doing. You don't owe anyone an update. You don't have to prove anything. Your growth is not a performance. It's a process. And that process is personal. It's messy. It's raw. It's uncomfortable. You can't do that in front of everyone. You can't do that with people interrupting you every time you sit down to work on yourself. Growth needs privacy. It needs silence. It needs time. And most of all, it needs protection. Think of your life like a construction zone. When something important is being built, the area is blocked off. No one can walk in. No one can touch anything. No one can interfere. That's how your environment needs to be right now. Blocked off from what doesn't serve you. Some people won't like that. Some people will think you're distant, cold, selfish. Let them. Let them misunderstand you while you fix what's broken. Let them question you while you rebuild. The ones who truly care about your growth will respect your boundary. The ones who don't, were only interested in the version of you that made them comfortable. This week isn't about being liked. It's about being aligned. If you spend your life trying to be liked, you'll never get where you're meant to go. Because everyone has an opinion. Everyone has advice. Everyone wants a piece of your time. But nobody is responsible for your growth. Except you. You have to take ownership of that. Fully. Completely. Ask yourself, who keeps interrupting my process? Who keeps pulling me back when I'm trying to move forward? Who always needs something but never adds to my life? Be honest. You know who they are, and you know what needs to happen. You can't build the life you want while keeping every door open. Some doors need to stay shut for good. And it's not just people. It's habits too. Every time you reach for your phone while you're working, that's an interruption. Every time you say yes to something you don't believe in, that's an interruption. Every time you delay what matters just to feel comfortable, that's an interruption. If you keep letting these small things in, they will destroy the big changes you're trying to make. Start small. Block out 2 hours a day. During that time, no phone, no noise, no talking, just you and the work. That's your sacred space. That's where the transformation happens. Protect it like your life depends on it. Because in a way it does. Your future depends on the actions you take now. And if those actions keep getting interrupted, the future you want stays out of reach. Discipline means doing what needs to be done. Even when it's boring. Even when it's quiet. Even when no one is watching. It means choosing progress over popularity. It means shutting the door and not opening it just because someone's knocking. Not every knock deserves your attention. Not every message needs a reply. Not every invite deserves a yes. If it doesn't align with your goals, it's not worth your energy. You'll be surprised how much you can accomplish when no one's pulling you in 100 directions. You'll start to feel clear. You'll start to feel strong. You'll start to feel a version of yourself that's been waiting to come alive. That version is focused. That version is powerful. That version respects time. And that version doesn't apologize for shutting the door when it's time to grow. In just 1 week, everything can change, but only if you guard your time. Only if you protect your peace. Only if you stop letting everyone and everything walk into your focus. The more serious you get, the fewer explanations you'll give. People will start to notice, not because you're loud, but because you're disciplined. Not because you're trying to impress them, but because you're finally impressing yourself. You're not here to live the same day over and over. You're not here to entertain other people's expectations. You're here to grow. You're here to build. You're here to become. And none of that happens by chance. It happens by choice. And one of the most powerful choices you can make is this. Shut the door and don't let anyone interrupt your growth. That door is not a rejection of others. It's a commitment to yourself. A commitment to do the work. A commitment to go deeper. A commitment to become someone your old self would be proud of. Not one day. Not someday. Now, this week. Start today. Close the door. Lock it. Focus. And don't open it till you've become the person you said you would be. Number 4, challenge yourself to be uncomfortable every single hour. That means no more waiting for the perfect mood, no more hoping for the right time, no more sitting around waiting to feel motivated. Comfort is where you've been hiding. It's where you've built routines that make you feel safe, but keep you stuck. If you want to become someone new, you have to do things that your current self avoids. You have to live in discomfort on purpose, hour after hour, with no shortcuts and no excuses. Most people can't even last a day outside their comfort zone. They feel a little pressure and immediately pull back. They try something hard, and when it doesn't go smoothly, they run straight back to what feels familiar. That's why they stay the same. That's why their goals always feel far away. But you don't have to be like that. You can train your mind to crave the hard things. You can build a life that forces growth in every direction, but only if you're willing to stop choosing what's easy. Every hour of your day presents a choice. You can stay on autopilot, or you can challenge yourself. You can keep following your usual patterns, or you can break them. Start with the small moments. Get up without hitting snooze. Sit with a hard task instead of avoiding it. Speak up when your voice shakes. Do the workout even when you're tired. Talk to the person you're intimidated by. Do what you usually avoid. That's the discomfort you need. Not pain, not chaos, just a consistent resistance to what's easy. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you stretch your limits on purpose. And it's not about big changes all at once. It's about making hard choices over and over again, until the hard things become your new normal. At first, your mind will resist. You'll feel irritated, impatient, uncertain. That's the old version of you trying to survive. But your job is not to keep that version alive. Your job is to outgrow it. Ask yourself right now, what am I doing today that's too easy? Where am I still playing it safe? What am I still avoiding because it makes me uncomfortable? And whatever the answer is, that's where your work begins. That's the spot where your potential is hiding. Not in the things you already know how to do. Not in the places where you already feel strong, but in the things that make you hesitate, that make your heart race, that make you question yourself. Those are the moments that shape your future. If you want to build mental toughness, you've got to train your mind the way an athlete trains their body. Repetition, consistency, pressure. You've got to wake up and say, what's one uncomfortable thing I can do right now? And then do it. Not because it feels good, not because it's fun, but because you told yourself you would. That's how you build trust with yourself. That's how you start to believe in your own ability to grow. Discomfort forces presence. When you're uncomfortable, you can't drift. You can't zone out. You're awake. You're alert. You're alive. Most people go through the day half asleep. They do the same things, think the same thoughts, and wonder why nothing changes. But when you start doing things that challenge you, you wake up. You start paying attention. You start noticing what you're capable of. There's a version of you haven't even met yet. Someone sharper, someone stronger, someone more disciplined. But that version isn't hiding behind comfort. That version shows up when you're sweating, when you're doubting yourself, but still showing up, when you're exhausted, but still pushing through. That version gets built hour by hour in the discomfort you usually avoid. Every time you pick the hard road, you prove to yourself that you're not the same. You create evidence that you can do more than you used to. And that evidence builds confidence. Not fake confidence based on talking. Real confidence built on action. You don't need to tell people you're changed. They'll see it. They'll feel it. Because when someone starts doing the hard things consistently, it shows. It changes their face, their energy, their words, their presence. If you want to become unrecognizable, you've got to live differently than the person you were yesterday. That means walking into every hour of your day and asking, what would make me uncomfortable right now? And then doing it. You don't need permission. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to act. Discomfort is the fastest path to growth because it pushes you into unfamiliar territory. And unfamiliar territory is where all your strength lives. People will wonder how you changed so fast. They'll ask what your secret is. But the truth is, there is no secret. You just stopped running from what was hard. You started showing up even when it didn't feel good. You traded comfort for progress. That's what separates those who grow from those who stay stuck. Every hour is a test. Will you stay in the same patterns, or will you push past them? Will you stay silent when it's easier, or will you speak? Will you do the work or find another excuse? You know what you usually do. Now ask yourself, are you done being that person? Because if you are, then this is how it starts. Not with some big announcement, not with a perfect plan, but with one uncomfortable decision, and then another, and then another. You won't feel ready most of the time. You'll feel resistance. You'll feel fear. That's normal. That's expected. But none of that means stop. It just means you're doing something real. It means you're stepping into the unknown. And that's where growth lives. That's where transformation begins. Discomfort is not your enemy. It's your signal. It's a sign that you're pushing against your old identity, that you're stretching, that you're finally doing what most people avoid. If you stay with it, if you keep choosing the harder path every hour, you will not recognize yourself by the end of the week. Not because of some dramatic shift, but because of 100 small wins that compound into a new standard. Make it your rule. Every hour, do one thing that challenges you. Keep track. Write it down. Measure it. Watch how quickly your mindset shifts. Watch how your energy changes. Watch how your confidence grows. This is the work that turns potential into power. Not talk, not dreaming, not waiting, but doing the thing that makes you want to quit. And doing it anyway. This is what it takes. Not sometimes, not when it's convenient, but every single hour. Discomfort isn't punishment. It's preparation. It's shaping you into someone who can handle more, who can do more, who can become more. If you want the results, you've got to live the process. And that process begins with one decision. Embrace discomfort now. This week, don't aim to feel good. Aim to grow. Aim to stretch. Aim to be uncomfortable every single hour. And by the time these 7 days are over, the world won't recognize you. And more importantly, you won't recognize yourself. Number 5. Break one bad habit you've defended your whole life. Not 10, not all of them. Just one. But make it the one that's been holding you back the longest. The one you've made excuses for. The one you've justified so many times that it's become part of your personality. That habit that you've carried with you like a security blanket. That one thing you keep saying, it's just how I am. That's the one that has to go. You know what it is? You don't have to think hard. It shows up in your routine. It shows up in your decisions. It shows up when things go wrong. You've built your life around it without realizing how much damage it causes. Maybe it's procrastination. Maybe it's the way you talk to yourself. Maybe it's staying up too late. Maybe it's always needing to explain yourself. Maybe it's giving up when things get uncomfortable. Whatever it is, you've defended it for years. But today you have to be honest. It's not part of your identity. It's a choice. And it's time to make a different one. We all protect habits that make us feel safe, even the bad ones. We tell ourselves stories to keep them alive. I need this to cope. It's not that bad. I'll fix it later. But those stories are lies. Lies we repeat to avoid change. Lies that keep us small. Lies that protect our comfort instead of our future. And the longer you tell those stories, the deeper that habit takes root. If you're tired of feeling stuck, it's time to stop telling the same story. You don't need more motivation. You need more honesty. That habit you've been defending, it's costing you more than you admit. It's draining your energy. It's stealing your focus. It's killing your self-respect. Because deep down, every time you give in to it, you know you're choosing weakness over growth. And it's not about perfection. It's about direction. It's about saying, I don't want to be that version of myself anymore. It's about deciding that enough is enough. Don't wait until you feel ready. You won't. Don't wait until it gets easier. It won't. The only thing that changes is your decision. You either keep defending the thing that's destroying your momentum, or you face it head on. You look at it. You name it. You say, this stops with me. That's how it begins. And when you do, it will be uncomfortable. It will feel unfamiliar. You'll be tempted to go back, but hold your ground. Remind yourself who you're trying to become. Because you're not just quitting a habit, you're walking away from an old version of yourself. A version that never believed they could go without it. A version that always needed a way out. A version that didn't know what discipline felt like. You're not that person anymore. You're not here to survive. You're here to grow, to rise, to take control. And you can't do that if you're still protecting behaviors that have kept you stuck. You can't build strength while still feeding weakness. You can't become disciplined while giving excuses a place to live. You have to choose. Breaking one habit can change the way you see yourself. When you do something you've avoided your whole life, something inside you shifts. You start to realize you're capable of more. You start to believe in your own power. You start to understand that identity is not fixed. It's created, not with words, with action. And don't expect anyone to clap for you. This isn't for applause. This is for you. This is about living in a way that finally matches your potential. You don't have to tell anyone. Just do the work, quietly, consistently. Watch how your life starts to move when you stop holding on to habits that do nothing for you. Track your progress, one day at a time, not forever. Just for this week, 1 week of full commitment, not halfway, not sort of fully. You'll feel the discomfort, but you'll also feel the freedom. You'll feel the temptation, but you'll also feel the clarity. You'll feel the challenge, but you'll also feel the pride, real pride, the kind that builds confidence, not from praise, but from self-respect. And it might get hard. You might slip, but don't go back to defending the habit. Don't use one mistake as a reason to quit. That's the old thinking. That's what you're walking away from. Instead, get back on track. Stay in the fight. Remind yourself why you started. This isn't about being perfect. It's about breaking the cycle. It's about saying this habit no longer belongs in my life. Imagine who you'd be without that one habit. How would you move? How would you think? What would you create with the energy you get back? What could you finally build? That's not a fantasy. That's what's waiting for you on the other side of this decision. But you'll never know until you stop defending what's been holding you back. Your mind will give you reasons to keep it. Ignore them. Your friends might not understand. Let them. Your body might resist. Push through. Because nothing is more powerful than the moment you finally say, I'm done with this. That's when change begins. That's when progress starts. That's when your new life opens up. Don't overthink it. Pick the habit. Break it. Replace it with something real. If you usually scroll your phone, pick up a book. If you normally skip the workout, go for a walk. If you always speak negative thoughts, write down one truth. Make it simple. Make it doable. Make it count. The goal isn't to become a new person overnight. The goal is to make one strong move. One decision that starts a chain reaction. One habit that once gone creates space for better choices. That's how change happens. Not through massive steps, but through decisive ones. Through saying, I won't carry this into my future. You owe it to yourself to try. Not just for the result, but for what it teaches you. Breaking a habit isn't just about removing something. It's about proving to yourself that you're not owned by your past, that you don't need that excuse, that you don't need to be comforted by weakness, that you can do hard things and win. So do it. Start today, not next month, not when it's easier. Now, take the habit you've been defending and face it. No more stories, no more hiding, no more pretending it's not a problem. You're not here to stay the same. You're here to evolve. You're here to become. And that begins with letting go of the one thing that's kept you in place. It's only one habit, but it's the habit that can shift everything. Not just how you act, but how you think, how you walk, how you show up. The people around you won't recognize you, but most importantly, you won't recognize yourself. That's the goal. That's the work. That's what's waiting for you on the other side of this decision. Now make it, and don't look back. Number 6, do what you fear first thing, every morning. So you need to stop running from fear and face it the moment you wake up. Not later, Not when you feel brave, not when the timing feels right. Do it first, before breakfast, before anything else. Because the longer you wait, the louder your fear becomes. The longer you delay, the stronger your doubt gets. And if you keep avoiding the thing that scares you, it will keep controlling you. That's how people stay stuck. They don't move because they don't want to feel the discomfort. But discomfort isn't your enemy. Fear isn't your enemy either. Avoiding fear, that's what holds you back. Your mind will always try to protect you from discomfort. That's its job. It doesn't care about growth. It cares about survival. It will tell you, not now. It will tell you later. It will tell you, let's do something easier first. But you've done that long enough. You've already seen what that leads to. A pile of unfinished tasks, a list of goals that never become action. A version of yourself that keeps hoping for change without earning it. You don't need another week of that. You need a new pattern. And that pattern starts by attacking your fear when your feet hit the floor. This isn't about being reckless. It's about building courage in the smallest, most personal ways. Courage is not a feeling. It's a behavior. It's a decision you make when you're scared but choose to act anyway. And the best time to make that decision is first thing in the morning, before your fear has time to negotiate with you. The more you hesitate, the more control it takes. But if you train yourself to face what scares you right away, you build a new mental reflex. You teach your brain, I don't run, I lead. Everyone has fears, but not everyone acts on them. That's the difference between growth and stagnation. Growth requires confrontation. It demands that you walk toward the things you've been avoiding. That conversation you keep putting off. That project you've been scared to start. That workout you keep saying you'll do tomorrow. That truth you keep running from. These are not just tasks. These are buried. And the moment you face them, everything starts to shift. Fear feeds on avoidance. The more you ignore it, the more it grows. But when you do the thing that scares you, you take away its power. You don't have to feel fearless. You just have to stop letting fear make your decision. That's what doing it first thing does. It removes the space where excuses live. Because fear thrives in delay. It gets louder when you give it time. But if you start your day by facing it head on, you cut off its influence before it spreads. Start small. You don't have to do something extreme. You just have to do something real. If you've been avoiding a tough call, make it first thing. If you've been scared to look at your finances, do it before anything else. If you've been dreading the gym, go before the sun rises. If you've been scared to speak up, start practicing your words in the quiet hours of the morning. Face it while your mind is still quiet. Face it before the distractions show up. Face it when the rest of the world is still asleep and you have no one to perform for. That's where real growth begins. You will feel resistance. That's normal. It will show up as hesitation, doubt, discomfort, maybe even nausea. But that's not a sign to stop. That's a signal you're in the right place. That feeling is growth knocking on your door. Most people run from it. Because you know that everything you want is on the other side of that fear. Not the fake kind of want, not the maybe someday kind, the real kind, the kind that keeps showing up in your mind, the kind you think about when you're quiet, the kind that whispers, you're meant for more. But you can't reach it by thinking about it. You can't reach it by researching it. You can't reach it by journaling your feelings. You reach it by acting, and not just acting, but acting in the moment. When fear says don't, that's the exact moment that's when the breakthrough happens. Not when it's easy, when it's hard, when it's uncomfortable, when every part of you wants to delay it, and you do it anyway. You'll start to notice something once you make this your daily rule. The fear gets smaller. The hesitation fades faster. You start to move quicker. You start to think clearer, not because the fear is gone, but because you've stopped giving it your time. That's how confidence is built. You don't wait for it. You earn it, and you earn it by doing what's hard before your fear gets to. Most people wait for the perfect time. They want to feel ready, but you've waited long enough. Ready is a lie. No one ever feels fully ready. The ones who grow are the ones who move anyway. They don't wait for courage. They create it. Every morning is a chance to build that muscle. Every morning is a test. Will you shrink or will you act? You don't have to win every battle, but you do have to show up for them. You do have to stop making fear your default setting. You do have to choose action over comfort. because that's what builds discipline. That's what builds trust in yourself. That's what makes you proud. Not the outcome, but the effort. The fact that you stood up, looked fear in the eye, and said, "Not today." This is how people become unrecognizable in a week. Not by changing everything overnight, but by making one powerful decision each day to do the hard thing before anything else, to lean into fear while others run from it, to stop hoping for change and start creating it. The version of you that's waiting on the other side of this process is stronger than you think, but you won't meet them by avoiding discomfort. You'll meet them when you choose to walk into it. And if you make this your rule every day, do what you fear first, you'll wake up in a week and realize you've built something real. You'll notice that fear doesn't stop you like it used to, that your decisions aren't shaped by emotion, that you no longer waste time waiting for the right feeling. You've replaced hesitation with movement. You've replaced anxiety with action. You've replaced fear with strength. That's how change works. Not all at once, not through inspiration alone, but through decisions made in the early hours of the morning when no one's watching and no one's cheering. And it's just you in the moment that matters most. What you do in that moment determines who you become. And if you want to become unrecognizable, it starts with doing what scares you before the day even begins. Number 7, talk to no one unless it makes you better. If you're serious about becoming unrecognizable in 1 week, you need to take a hard look at who you're talking to. Because words shape your mind, and people shape your energy. Every conversation either builds you or drains you. Every person you talk to either helps your growth or holds it back. So for the next 7 days, talk to no one unless it makes you better. That's not being cold. That's being focused. That's protecting your time, your energy, and your mindset from things that don't help you move forward. You know exactly who drains you. You don't need a list. You feel it every time they call, every time they send a message, every time they want to hang out just to complain, gossip, or waste time. You walk away from those conversations feeling heavy, irritated, and distracted, but you keep doing it. Out of habit, out of guilt, out of some false idea that you owe people your time just because they've always had access to it. But here's the truth. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table, especially not when you're trying to grow. Your energy is limited. Your focus is fragile. Your progress is too important to let it get chipped away by mindless talk. So stop engaging with anyone who doesn't bring value to your mind or your mission. That doesn't mean you think you're better than anyone. It means you finally understand that growth requires standards. And that includes the conversations you allow. Most people never level up because they keep their circle too wide and too loud. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has something to say, and they listen to all of it. They absorb negativity. They get pulled into drama. They lose hours talking about things that don't change anything. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, why they're always tired, why they can't focus. The answer is simple. Too much talk with people who don't push them to grow. When you start filtering your conversations, something powerful happens. Your mind becomes clearer. Your decisions become sharper. You start moving faster. Why? Because you're not wasting energy explaining yourself to people who aren't growing. You're not justifying your choices to people who aren't doing the work. You're not opening your day with noise that doesn't push you to be better. You don't owe people constant access to your time, especially when that time is being used to build something that matters. You're allowed to be unavailable. You're allowed to protect your space. You're allowed to say, "I'm not talking right now. I'm working on myself." That's not rude. That's called discipline. Talk less, do more. Let your progress be the proof. Let your discipline be the response. The people who truly respect you won't need daily check-ins. They won't guilt you for being focused. They'll understand that growth demands solitude, that building something meaningful requires pulling back from noise. And if they don't understand, that's okay too. They're just not meant to be part of this version of your life. Start being intentional about your words. Don't speak just to fill silence. Don't vent just to release pressure. Don't call someone just because you're bored. Fill that space with something that builds you. Read, think, plan, execute, reflect. Spend time alone with your thoughts instead of talking just to avoid them. That's where your strength is built, in those quiet hours, when no one is shaping your mind but you. And when you do speak, make it count. Choose conversations that stretch you, that challenge you to think deeper, that hold you accountable, that bring clarity, not confusion, that push you toward your goals, not pull you away from them. One powerful conversation can shift your entire day. One low-quality conversation can derail your entire week. That's the cost. That's why this boundary matters. You won't miss much. That's the truth. You'll realize most conversations don't matter. Most group chats are just distractions. Most updates aren't urgent. Most people talk but don't act. And while they're talking, you'll be building while they're debating. You'll be executing while they're complaining. You'll be evolving. That's how separation is created. Not by talent, but by focus. Not by who talks more, but by who protects their time and energy the most. You might feel lonely at first. That's normal. But that space you create isn't loneliness. It's room to grow. It's time to reflect. It's silence that helps you hear your own thoughts again. You'll realize how much of your identity was tied to keeping up with everyone. And once you stop, once you disconnect from constant chatter, you reconnect with your purpose. This doesn't mean isolation. It means being selective. It means building a circle that challenges you, supports you, and expects more from you. One person who challenges your excuses is worth more than 20 people who just agree with everything you say. Surround yourself with people who talk about progress, action, and character. People who remind you who you're capable of being, not just who you've been. Every time you open your mouth, you give away energy. Every time you listen to someone, you absorb something. So be careful what you receive and what you share. You're shaping your future with every choice you make. And that includes who you give your words to. If a conversation doesn't bring clarity, courage, or conviction, walk away from it. Not in anger, not with judgment, but with peace, knowing that your focus matters more than being liked. Make this your new standard. For the next 7 days, talk only to grow. Speak only to sharpen your mind. Listen only to voices that make you better. Block out everything else. Protect your mental space like your future depends on it. Because it does. You'll notice something after a few days. You'll feel lighter, clearer, stronger. The noise will die down and your thoughts will take shape. You'll stop second-guessing yourself so much. You'll stop getting pulled into nonsense. And in that stillness, you'll start hearing your own voice again. The one that's been buried under too much conversation. That voice will tell you what you need to do, where to go next, who to become. You don't need more conversation. You need more execution. You don't need to explain yourself anymore. You need to prove it through how you live. Let your actions be your message. Let your discipline do the talking. Talk to no one unless it helps you grow, and you'll find yourself becoming the person you've been chasing for years. It only takes 1 week of full focus to see how much time you've wasted on the wrong words. Start today. Say less, move more, and only speak when it makes you sharper, wiser, and stronger than you were yesterday. Number 8, say out loud what you're tired of hiding. If you want real change, if you want to become unrecognizable in 1 week, then you need to stop hiding from yourself. Stop pretending everything is fine when it's not. Stop keeping things inside that are eating away at your energy. The truth is, you cannot heal what you refuse to face. You cannot grow if you're still lying to yourself. And you cannot become someone new while protecting the parts of yourself you're ashamed to admit. Say it out loud, not to get attention, not for approval, but because hiding it is what's been holding you back. There's something in you that you've been burying, a truth you've avoided, a mistake you've never really dealt with, a fear that's kept you small, a regret you never admitted. And as long as it stays inside, it controls you. It shapes your thoughts. It affects your choices. It clouds your mind. But when you say it out loud, when you finally let it out of your head and speak it into the open, something changes. It loses power. It stops growing in the dark. You stop living in fear of being found out Because now you've found the courage to face it yourself. This is not about confessing to the world. This is about telling the truth to the one person who needs to hear it. Yourself. And that starts by speaking the words you've been avoiding. No more filters. No more polished language. Say it like it is. I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. I've been lying about how I feel. I don't like who I've become. I've been scared to change. Whatever the truth is, get it out of your head. Put it into words. Own it. Because that's how you take your power back. You don't need to write a perfect speech. You don't need to perform. You need to be real. Say it in your room. Say it in the mirror. Say it in the car. Say it when no one's around. But say it. Hear yourself say what you've been hiding. That's the moment where the weight begins to lift. That's when healing begins. Not through denial, but through brutal honesty. There's a cost to hiding. It's heavy. It's exhausting. It keeps you second-guessing everything. It makes you feel stuck. You think you're protecting yourself, but really you're just avoiding the work. You're delaying the growth. Because the truth you're scared to speak is the exact truth that's keeping you stuck. You can't move forward with chains wrapped around your mind, and the only way to break those chains is to confront them. It won't feel easy. Your chest might tighten. Your voice might shake. You might feel like crying. That's part of it. That's the release. That's the truth finally coming up to the surface, where it can breathe. You've been carrying this for too long, and it shows up in the way you carry yourself. It shows up in how you speak, how you think, how you act. You can't fake peace. You can't fake clarity. You can't fake strength. You have to build them from honesty. Most people never do that. They keep performing. They keep pretending. They keep hoping that if they ignore the truth long enough, it'll go away. But it doesn't. It shows up in their habits, in their relationships, in their mental health, in their regrets. But not you. Not anymore. You're not here to stay the same. You're not here to protect a false version of yourself. You're here to become real. And being real starts with being honest. Say what you're tired of hiding. Say what you've been avoiding. Say what you've never said out loud. Not because you're weak, because you're strong enough now to face it. And once you face it, you're no longer its prisoner. You stop hiding. You stop faking. You stop apologizing for being human. Maybe it's guilt. Maybe it's shame. Maybe it's something you did that you haven't forgiven yourself for. Speak it. You don't need to broadcast it. You need to confront. Hear your own voice. Say the words. That's where change begins. That's when you finally understand what it means to grow. Not by escaping the past, but by facing it head on and deciding it won't define you anymore. You'll feel lighter after. Not because everything's fixed, but because you're no longer pretending. You're no longer hiding behind silence. You're finally being honest with the person who matters most. You. And from that honesty comes clarity. You'll know what needs to change. You'll know what's been holding you down. You'll know what steps to take. Because now you're no longer lying to yourself. This is about personal freedom. It's about being able to look in the mirror and not feel like a fraud. It's about waking up and knowing that you're not carrying around secrets anymore. It's about trusting yourself enough to tell the truth, even when it hurts. That trust is what builds real self-respect. And with that, everything else begins to change. You don't grow by pretending to be perfect. You grow by being brutally honest about what's broken. That's how strong people are built. Not through ego, not through image, but through raw, unfiltered truth. That's what you speak now. That's what sets you free. And once you say it out loud, don't just stop there. Decide what happens next. Decide what you're going to change now that the truth is out. Don't hide again. Don't bury it again. Keep walking through it. Keep uncovering what's been buried under years of hiding. Keep speaking your truth until it stops hurting and starts healing. This process isn't quick, but it's powerful. One honest moment can change everything. One act of courage can set your life on a new path. This is where it starts. Not with a plan, not with a new strategy, but with a sentence you've been scared to say. A sentence that once spoken breaks the illusion and brings you back to reality. You've got 7 days. In that time, you can shift your entire mindset. But not if you're hiding. Not if you're still afraid to face what's real. This is the moment to step into a new level of personal truth. Say it now. Say it with your full voice. Say it without shame. You're not weak for admitting it. You're strong for finally releasing it. This is how change begins. This is how healing starts. This is how you become unrecognizable by being real. Not polished, not perfect, just honest. Start there. Speak what you've buried. And from that place, begin to build a new version of yourself. One that doesn't hide. One that doesn't pretend. One that doesn't carry what's no longer yours to hold. Say it out loud, and then step forward. Number 9, track how often you lie to yourself daily. If you want to become unrecognizable in 1 week, start by tracking how often you lie to yourself. Not the lies you tell others, the ones you whisper in your own head, the quiet ones that sound like truth because you've repeated them for so long, the ones you use to protect yourself from doing the hard things. I'll start tomorrow. I'm doing my best. I don't have time. It's not that bad. These are the lies that ruin growth. These are the lies that convince you to stay the same while pretending you're working on yourself. Most people lie to themselves without even noticing. They lie to avoid discomfort. They lie to protect their image. They lie because facing the truth feels painful. But that pain is necessary. It's the beginning of change. You can't improve a life you're dishonest about. You can't fix what you refuse to admit is broken. And you can't grow into the person you want to be if you keep pretending you're already doing enough. Start paying attention. Write it down every time you say something to yourself that's not true. Every excuse, every justification, every moment when you tell yourself you're committed but your actions don't match. Be brutally honest. You're not here to feel good. You're here to change. And change only happens when you face the reality of how you've been thinking. Maybe you tell yourself you're tired when really you're just lazy. Maybe you say you'll do it later when you know you won't. Maybe you act like you're making progress, but you're really just staying busy to avoid what matters. These are the patterns that keep people stuck, and they don't change unless you confront them head on. It's not easy. No one likes to admit they've been lying to themselves, but once you start tracking it, you'll realize how often it happens. It's everywhere. In your habits, in your decisions, in the way you speak, in the way you avoid. And the more you see it, the more you understand why things haven't changed. It's not about motivation. It's not about talent. It's about the tiny self-deceptions you've let slide for too long. The goal isn't to shame yourself. The goal is to wake up, to stop living in a version of life that's based on excuses and half-truths. You can't build confidence on lies. You can't build discipline on denial. And you can't build a better life until you get real about what's holding you back. That starts with tracking the gap between what you say and what you do. You say you want to be healthy. Then track every time you eat something you said you'd quit. You say you want to be focused. Then track every time you pick up your phone instead of working. You say you're serious about your goals. Then track every time you choose comfort instead of action. That's not being harsh. That's being responsible. That's how real transformation begins. Most people wait for someone else to hold them accountable, but the strongest people track themselves. They keep score, not to feel guilty, but to stay aware. Because once you're aware of your own patterns, you can start changing them. You can catch the lie as it shows up. You can stop mid-thought and say, no, that's not true. I'm just avoiding again. That level of awareness is rare, and it's powerful. You're not here to live on autopilot. You're not here to drift through life hoping things get better. You're here to take full ownership of your decision, and that means holding yourself to the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. You know what's crazy? Most people lie to themselves more than anyone else lies to them. They don't need outside distractions. They distract themselves with their own thought, and they wonder why they can't stay consistent, why they feel stuck, why they lose momentum. It's because they keep convincing themselves they're doing enough when they know deep down they're not. You want to build real confidence? Start being honest. Catch yourself when you say, I can't. Ask if that's really true, or if it's just easier to say than I won't. Catch yourself when you say it's fine. Ask if you're just avoiding the truth, because it's more comfortable to pretend nothing needs to change. Every time you track a lie, you bring yourself closer to reality. And the closer you are to reality, the easier it is to grow. Try this. Every night before you sleep, write down 3 lies you told yourself that day. Don't overthink it. Just write. I said I'd wake up early and didn't. I told myself I'd get serious this week and didn't follow through. I said I needed rest, but scrolled for an hour instead. It may seem small, but this process builds awareness, and awareness leads to change. In 1 week of tracking, you'll be shocked at what you find. You'll see how many times you talk yourself out of progress, how often you break promises to yourself, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's where your power begins, because now you're not just reacting, you're observing, you're noticing, you're deciding, and every time you stop the lie mid-thought and choose the truth instead, you build a new version of yourself, a version that follows through, a version that's not afraid to face hard things, a version that doesn't waste time pretending. That version is powerful, not because they're perfect, but because they're honest. That kind of self-honesty is rare, but it's exactly what separates people who grow from people who stay the same. Lying to yourself is easy. That's why so many people do it. But nothing meaningful comes from you. If you want to build something strong, if you want to wake up in 7 days and barely recognize the person you used to be, you have to stop feeding yourself false comfort. You have to stop telling stories that protect your weaknesses, and you have to start showing up for yourself in the most honest way possible. You know what needs to change. You've always known, but maybe you've been lying to yourself about how ready you are. Maybe you've been saying the right things but avoiding the right actions. That ends now, not with guilt, not with shame, with awareness, with a journal, with 1 page every night that tells the truth about how you showed up that day. Track the lies until there are none left, until every thought matches your standards, until your habits match your goal, until your actions match your words. That's how you become unrecognizable. That's how you step into a version of yourself that doesn't need motivation, because truth fuels everything they do. Start today. Listen closely to the thoughts in your head. Write them down, question, and every time you catch a lie, replace it with a choice that moves you forward. Do that for 7 days. And I promise, you won't just feel different, you'll be different. That's the power of truth, and that's the beginning of real transformation. Number 10. Make 1 promise and don't sleep until it's done. Start with 1 promise. Just 1. Make it to yourself, and don't close your eyes until it's finished. Don't say it casually. Don't say it because it sounds good. Say it like it matters. Say it like your future depends on it. Because it does. That 1 promise becomes your standard for the day. Not a goal, not a maybe, not something you'll do if you have time. Something you must do, no matter what. It doesn't have to be huge. It just has to be real. It has to be specific. It has to be something that stretches you and something you usually avoid. Maybe it's finishing that task you've been delaying. Maybe it's finally sending that message you've been scared to send. Maybe it's committing to a full workout, or turning off your phone for a full hour, or studying with full focus. Whatever it is, it needs to matter. And once you say it, there's no turning back. You don't sleep until it's done. That's how discipline is built. Not through endless motivation, not through inspiration videos, but through doing what you said you'd do, even when you don't feel like doing it. That's what separates talkers from doers. It's not how loud you speak. It's how strong your follow-through is. When you keep that 1 promise, you prove something to yourself. You show yourself that your words carry weight, that you can be trusted, that you are serious about change. Most people say things they never do. They make promises to themselves and break them the same day. And every time that happens, their confidence dies a little more. Not because they lack talent, but because they don't believe their own voice anymore. It's not the outside world that destroys them. It's the broken promises they carry around like baggage. You can't build confidence on lies. You build it by stacking small wins, 1 at a time, until you've got enough evidence to trust yourself again. And it starts with 1 win today. 1 promise followed by relentless action. You don't go to sleep until it's complete, not until it's real, not until it's done. Because sleep is rest, and rest is earned. You don't earn it just by being tired. You earn it by doing what you said you'd do. You earn it by keeping your word when no one's watching. That's where real self-respect comes from. Not from what you say, but from what you finish. If you say you'll do it and quit halfway, you reinforce weakness. If you say you'll do it and push through the resistance, you build strength. It's that simple. This isn't about burning yourself out. It's about raising your standard. It's about creating a mindset where quitting is no longer normal, where delay is no longer an option, where compromise is no longer a habit. You might be tired, you might be frustrated, but you won't break. Not now, not this time. Because this time you made a decision, and that decision is what's going to pull you through. Not how you feel, not what's convenient, but the decision to complete what you start. That's the foundation of discipline. That's what people remember. That's what creates transformation. You want to stand out. You want to look back in 7 days and not recognize the old version of yourself? Then keep this promise like your life depends on it. One task, one action, one clear outcome that you own from start to finish. Let that be your pattern. Let that be your identity. Someone who follows through, someone who doesn't back down, someone who finishes what they begin. This is not about doing more. It's about doing with purpose. It's about proving to yourself that you have control over your time and your choices, that you're not just reacting to life, you're building it with intention. And that starts with one decision every day that you refuse to delay. That one action becomes your anchor. No matter what else happens, that's the thing you complete. It's easy to be excited in the morning. It's easy to talk about goals. But when the day wears on and the distractions come and your energy drops, that's the test. That's when most people quit. That's when most people say, I'll do it tomorrow. But not you. You do it now. You finish today. Because that's who you're becoming. Someone who doesn't leave things hanging. Someone who doesn't let the day end unfinished. And when you do that, when you lie in bed knowing you kept your word, you sleep differently. You feel proud. You feel not because everything is perfect, but because you know you're not running anymore. You're not breaking your own rules. You're not living in delay. You're doing the work. You're building the mindset of a finisher. That mindset becomes your edge. While others build habits of avoidance, you build habits of completion. While others make excuses, you make commitments. While others are okay with almost, you demand done. That's what changes lives. Not waiting for motivation, not getting hyped, but deciding once and for all that your words mean something. This isn't about being intense every second. It's about building trust in yourself. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be solid. You do have to be real. And the most real thing you can do today is pick one promise and do not stop until it's finished. No matter how long it takes, no matter what else comes up, that promise becomes the line you don't cross. That's your new baseline. Start today, right now. Make the promise, write it down, say it out loud, and then get to work. Shut off the noise, block out the distractions, stop explaining, start executing. That's where the shift happens. Not someday, today. One promise, one finish line. No shortcuts, no delay, just full follow through. And when it's done, you'll know. You'll feel it. You'll feel the pride. You'll feel the strength. You'll feel the shift. That's how you change your life. Not by talking about change, but by proving with your own actions that you are no longer the same. Do it now. Make the promise, then keep it. No matter what, don't sleep until it's done, because that's who you are now. Someone who finishes, someone who follows through, someone who wins. If you've made it to the end of this video, then something in you is ready. Ready to stop living the same way. Ready to let go of the excuses. Ready to finally see what happens when you give everything you've got for just 1 week. The truth is, most people won't do it. They'll keep watching, keep planning, but never act. But you're not most people. You now have the tools, the mindset, and the truth. What you do next is what separates you. Don't wait for the perfect day. It won't come. Start today. Pick one action. Do it. Then do it again tomorrow. 7 days. That's all it takes to look back and realize you're no longer the same. If this video pushed you, challenged you, or woke something up inside you, come back tomorrow. Come back every time you feel yourself slipping. We're just getting started. Let's build the person you were always meant to be.